that button right there.
For a soldier, oh, Johnny has gone for a soldier. That was better that time. Yeah. Okay.
The only thing that I think has got a little bit too much.
To welcome you to the Afghan-Iraqi Freedom Memorial here on the grounds of the Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs. Sounds like I'm going to be competing with some heavy equipment on the next street, so I'll do my best here. We're also joined here today by some very special individuals, and I'm not going to give those away because I know Mr. Lutz, our presenter, is going to name them. We're also very pleased today to be joined by members of the Oregon Legislative Assembly. We have Senator Martha Schrader here, Representative Jean Cowan, although I haven't seen her, I think that she may be, oh yes, she's here. Hello, Representative. They're chairs of the Senate and House Veterans Committees here in Oregon. We have Representative Huffman, I believe. Hello, Representative. And I believe we're also joined by J.D. Baucom with U.S. Senator Schrader's office. Thank you for being here today. And certainly if I have overlooked anybody, thank you, members of our Oregon Legislative Assembly, for joining us here today for this. On behalf of Director Jim Willis and all of the men and women of the Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs, I want to thank Mr. George Lutz and Mr. Paul Tremblay for the honored presentations they will make today, for selecting this site for their ceremony today, and for inviting the department to be involved. We were very happy to have an opportunity to assist them with this ceremony. And so for today's ceremony, please help me welcome Mr. George Lutz.
God bless you all. Thank you so much for being a part of this today. What an honor. Truly an honor it is to be here. You're probably wondering, who am I and what's going on and what is this all about? Many of you may have heard about Honor and Remember, but many of you, maybe most of you, don't have a clue why this big red and white bus is parked here on the street and really what's going on. And if you will just give me a few minutes of your time, I will explain to you why I believe this right now is a historic moment for me and for you and for the future of this country. On December 29th, 2005, my son Tony was killed in Iraq. On the 30th, I got that knock on the door from two uniformed soldiers who brought to me that news. We regret to inform you. The next day, the 31st of December, was my birthday, and the front page of our local paper, of course, had his story. And he was quite a man and quite a kidder at times, and I thanked him for that gift on my birthday. But to use the word devastated isn't big enough, because when you get news like that, as a parent, or as a wife, as a husband, those words are incredibly painful. And what do you do with it? How do you go on? How do you process? Do you think that there is even life beyond that? I will tell you that I didn't want to live after I got that news. And I began to wonder what my life was going to be like now. Because he was my best friend. He had a wife and 2 children. He had a family. And so the steps that you go through are probably many of the normal steps that a family would go through in grieving any loss of a family member. And I began to collect memories. I say collect, but I began to search memories because I knew he would never walk through the door again. I knew I would never hear his voice on the phone. And I wanted to grab a hold of everything I could that would remind me of him so that I could have one more day of life. And I looked through the drawers and the closets and for anything I could, photographs, emails in this technology age, videotapes, anything. A handwritten note with a grocery list in his handwriting became important. But the processes of that search come to an end because there's only so many nooks and crannies you can look into. And then I thought, well, he had a life beyond his parents. He had a job, he went to school, he knew people. So I thought I would go out to them and find out what kind of memories they had. Did they have a photograph? Did they have a story? Could they share in some way how he affected their lives? Because I wanted to hold on to something that gave me one more day. And even that process came to an end because there's only so many people you can find. And then I thought, he was serving this country, and he was in the United States Army, and he trained with his buddies, and he fought with his buddies. Surely they would have stories. And so I looked to them, and I wanted to know how he served, how he did his job. Were they proud of him? What did he have for breakfast that morning? Anything that I could to hold on to one more day of his life. And I will tell you that as I was traveling in the last 2 months through Nebraska, First Sergeant came up to me and said, I was with your son when he was shot. Let me tell you about that day. I didn't expect that. But was I grateful? Absolutely. And after I got to the end of that, and I'm sure there is still going to be trickling, I thought to myself, he died for his country. He died for all of us who walk around free every day, enjoying what we have. He died for all of us. So I wanted to know, as a father, what was out there in the public that I could embrace. You see, that's all I wanted. I wanted to embrace something that let me know that this country remembered, that it mattered to them, that the price of freedom comes at a cost. Thank you. And as I looked around, what did I find? You can probably imagine. Beautiful memorials, wonderful memorials, monuments, names on a wall, tributes in spotty places everywhere. And it made me realize that the veterans and the active duty military remember. They're their brothers. They're over there fighting. Does everybody know that we're still over there fighting? Not many do. But they're over there fighting, and you think they're fighting for their country. They are, but they're fighting for each other. They're fighting shoulder to shoulder to protect each other. When one comes home, he wants to go back because he left his buddies over there. I hear that over and over again. And so I realized that the veterans do an amazing job of remembering. But as I noticed who would visit those memorials, I found that the numbers were not that great. Unless that memorial is in Washington and it's some kind of a public icon, I would say maybe 10% of this population will ever see the Vietnam Wall, or will ever see the World War II memorial that was recently built. Gorgeous, beautiful. But few of our population will ever get a chance to see that. Why? I think it's because they were built by veterans, for veterans, because they didn't want to forget. And they're doing their best to make sure nobody else forgets. And after my son died, I started to attend the funerals of other family members who had lost in this current conflict. I'm from Norfolk, Virginia. And in Norfolk, we're a Navy town. We don't lose a lot of Navy individuals, but we do lose SEALs and Marines and Army that are nearby there. And I began to go to these services because I had a need of healing. I had a need to talk to these families and say, I have been there, I am there, I'm going through that process. And I know it hurts. And as I spoke to these families, I began to meet other families from Grenada, from the Gulf, from Vietnam, from World War II. And as I spoke to these families and I heard their stories, the two things that I would hear over and over consistently were, please don't let this have been in vain. And please don't let them be forgotten. That was it. You see, it's a different kind of a death. These young men and women are all healthy, educated. They could do anything in this country. But they decide to serve. They decide to do what few in percentage to the population are willing or able to do. They serve selflessly. And I thought to myself about those 2 points. Let it not be in vain. And that bothered me for a bit, because we in this country can easily politicize a conflict or a war. It's so easy for politicians in some way or another to politicize these things. But I will tell you, at the end of the day, for a family who has lost someone, politics makes no difference, because their loved one is not coming home. And that's all that matters. And yes, you might find a few that want to make it politics, but generally, it doesn't matter the method, it doesn't matter the time frame. They just wish they would come home. And so I thought, as long as the American flag, and you see them everywhere, flies freely in this country, as long as the American flag is able to fly above free soil, then no conflict, no death, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the time in history, will ever have been in vain. Because we are the greatest nation on earth. And we are the nation, because of our strength, whether or not people agree, are able to help those in need around this world. And we do that time after time at the loss of so many. And I challenge anyone who would ever say that a loss was in vain. I met with a POW Medal of Honor winner, happens to be our Director of Veterans Affairs in Virginia. And he looked at me straight in the eye before I left, and he said, "We won in Vietnam." And this was coming from a POW. And I said, "Is that right?" He said, "Absolutely. No matter what they say in Washington, we had the man, we had the power, we backed off." He said, "Don't ever forget that." It came now, my thought, to the remembrance part. We had the in vain part down. My son died for that American flag. And I fly the biggest one I could find after he was killed. But the remembrance part, that one bothered me. Because I think we try to remember as best we can, but we all are busy. And we all go about our daily lives with other things in our minds. And as I began to look around, remember I said that I wanted something to embrace. I would see the yellow ribbons and the bumper stickers that say "Support our troops." And what a wonderful thing that was, and I've got them on my car. But I have to tell you, as a parent who lost his son, that I supported him and I prayed for him. But he didn't come home. And so when I saw that sticker, that phrase became very different to me in meaning. Because when I looked at it now, I thought to myself, that doesn't apply to him anymore. He's not out there for me to support. Where was his tribute? And as I attended the funerals, I saw the POW flag flying everywhere. And I thought to myself, what a wonderful tribute that was. That the United States government adopted a military symbol for those that needed to be remembered that were captured or missing. What an honor that was for those individuals. How necessary that was. And when I saw that, it opened my eyes. And I thought, the fallen need a flag. The fallen in this country need a symbol. Because what are flags for? If you think about what a flag is for, it identifies a group or an organization or a state as to who they are and what they're about and that they're of one mind. And so we have flags in this country for everything. Everything. Every college has a flag. Every high school has a flag. Every branch of the service has a flag. Every branch within the service has a flag. The POWs had a flag. But the one group in this country that died so that we could all fly the flags of our choosing didn't have a flag. The one group that had no voice for themselves had no emblem to identify them. And I might be a little bit selfish, but I thought, if there are any flags that fly, there ought to be at least a flag for those that died in this country for us. And so, 2 years ago, I need 2 volunteers. Anybody jump right up? 2 PGR guys? Be great. Thank you, sir. I just got to get it right side. There you go. Just grab this end right here. You got it. Now, switch sides. On May 26th of 2008, drop the weight. There you go, you got it. On May 26th of 2008, the Honor and Remember flag was unveiled publicly to the nation. This flag represents all lives lost in the history of our country, from the Revolution to the present and beyond. There's a bill in Congress right now to nationally adopt this flag as a public symbol of remembrance. The symbolism behind this flag, can you turn it this way so these guys over there can see a little bit? The symbolism behind this flag, I'm sure is obvious to many of you, but I'll explain it so you know you've heard it from me. The red field on this flag stands for the sacrifice of bloodshed. What better color to represent those lives than American flag red? The white beneath the red field represents the purity of that sacrifice, because our men and women, each one to a person, went over on a pure mission, and each saying to their families and to their friends, "Don't worry, I'll be back. I've got it covered." The blue star in the center of this field goes back to World War I, when a blue star, a solid blue star, was hung in the windows and doors of military families, letting everyone know that they had someone in active duty. That's where we get the term Blue Star Mothers, Blue Star Families. The gold star in the center of this blue star represents that life lost, that service member was not coming home. And that's where we get the term Gold Star Families, Gold Star Father, Gold Star Mother, Gold Star Wife, Gold Star Sibling. Many in this country do not know what a Gold Star family is, but they will. The folded flag beneath the stars, we all universally understand, is a life lost in service to this country. A folded flag handed to a family at the service of their loved one. This country was built on one folded flag at a time. The flames above it are an eternal reminder that we will never forget. When you see that in combination, a folded flag, eternal flames, we will never forget. And the words beneath, we will always honor their sacrifice and remember them specifically by name, because they are names, and they have loved ones and extended families and friends, and they deserve to be remembered not as statistics, not as numbers, but as individuals. On June the 7th, right after Memorial Day, I left on a 5-month journey, a deployment, if you will. You guys, okay. To take this message to all 50 states, to be sure to reach someone in every state that I travel to, and leave this message of remembrance and the importance of recognizing sacrifice. Because it's not just one day a year. Because I realize that as Americans, we support our troops every day, but when we lose one, we're okay in our minds, most of us, to remember on Memorial Day, because that's the day. That was the day set aside. So we go, okay, isn't this really sad? We're going to remember them on Memorial Day. But how many of us really remember on Memorial Day? Probably those of you here do. But there are movements out there to get people to remember Memorial Day, because it's become a picnic. And if we could just have one solemn moment in one day that's dedicated to remember, that would be enough for most people. But the void needed to be filled because I, as a parent, and those other parents, and those family members, those wives, they remember every day. The friends remember every day. The veterans remember every day. Why should we all have a pass? And that is why Honor and Remember was created. And in the last 2.5 months, I have traveled to 35 states, driven 14,000 miles, and have met with governors, lieutenant governors, senators, legislators, Medal of Honor winners, generals, patriotic Americans, Gold Star families, to let them know that remembering is going to become a way of life, that freedom came at a price, and that this flag will fly in this nation, and to know why it's flying, for who it's flying, and the importance of it. I'm going to stop there. We're going to have a song, and then we're going to have a very special, you're going to join me in a very, very special opportunity to honor 2 families today.
Thank you.
Where is Amy? I'd like for Amy to come forward. And I'll bet you need this mic.
Here I sit on Buttermilk Hill. Who can blame me? Cry my fill, and every tear will turn a mill. Oh, Johnny has gone for a soldier. Oh, Johnny has gone for a soldier. I'll sell my rod, I'll sell my reel. Likewise I'll sell my spinning wheel, and buy my love a sword of steel. Oh, Johnny has gone for a soldier. Oh, Johnny has gone for a soldier. I'll dye my dress, yet I'll dye it red. Likewise I'll beg the streets for bread, and buy my love a sword instead. laughing, and every tear would turn a mill. Oh, Johnny has gone for a soldier. Oh, Johnny has gone for a soldier.
It's Amy Larson Berger. Thank you so much. I mentioned that I've been in 35 states. I didn't tell you that in the 34 states that I've been in previously, every single state that I have been through has made a commitment to make the Honor and Remember flag a state symbol of remembrance. And when I am through this journey, all 50 states, I believe, will be committed to remembering the fallen in their state. This journey will conclude in Arlington Cemetery on Veterans Day, November 11th, for a final ceremony, just so you know that. But you know, this flag is more to me than just a piece of cloth flying in the wind, because even a piece of cloth can be ignored. It is much more personal than that, because as I see the gifts that are given to families because of their loss, I wanted to give something as well. I wanted to be able to give back something as big as I could think of. And flying the flag is a tribute to every family, but yet personally, I wanted it to make a difference. And so the design of this flag not only enables any of us to fly it generally, but it also enables it to be personalized in a very specific tribute. And today, as part of this ceremony here at this beautiful memorial, we're going to honor two families. And I have to say this, that you may ask me after, or this may be a question in your mind, why these two families? Now, how were they picked, so to speak? Well, families aren't picked. They're picked by choice of their loss. Every family in this country, as my pledge, will be given a tribute in this way, will be honored in this way. The only reservation, and the reservation is the right word, is that we just can't reach everyone at the same time because of resources and other reasons. But we will reach every single family, regardless of generation, and honor them in a very special way. So do these families, are they any more important than another? Yes, because their loss is specific, but not because of their loss. So just want you to understand that. And I don't know, the two Gold Star families that I will bring up are sitting in the front. But I have not been to Oregon before, and I've not met many of the families that are here yet. But if there are any Gold Star families other than the two that are right here, would you please raise your hand so that I might, and everyone might look around and identify those families. Please give them a hand and thank them for their service and their loss. Thank you. I would like to ask Pat Lucas to come up with her family. They're going to be escorted. And Senator, would you come up, please, as well? Okay, thank you. Hold that, please. The Honor and Remember flag that I have in my hand is folded in a triangular configuration. And the reason it's folded like this is because it mirrors the American flag that was handed to this family at the memorial of their loved one. But unlike the American flag, which is meant to stay folded, respectfully and reverently encased forever, the Honor and Remember flag is meant to be unfolded and displayed as a perpetual thank you to all of the loss and to the families in all that they have endured and will continue to endure the rest of their lives. And I would ask the senator to read this certificate.
Thank you so much. This is such an honor. Honor and remember. This Honor and Remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of PO1 Jeffrey A. Lucas. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember their selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you.
I mentioned yeah, that'd be fine. I don't know. I mentioned that this flag was for all generations. I mentioned that this flag would fly for all losses, regardless of the time period. And I want to be sure that that point is very emphatically made, because we do focus on Iraq and Afghanistan right now, and that is important. Of course, it is our time. But families will tell you that they will continue to hurt for the rest of their lives. And as I've spoken to widows and mothers and fathers from Vietnam, from Grenada, from Lebanon, I hear those same two cries. They don't ever forget. And it's important for us, those that live under freedom, to remember that it took many lives to keep this country free. Many lives. And the most unappreciated generation in Vietnam, and in Korea even, those families are still with us, and they still grieve, and they still need to be remembered. And I would like to ask Ms. Welsh to come forward, please, and her family, her son, Gerard. And I'd like to ask Representative Cowan to come forward and join us for this. Turn around and let you have this one. And just give me a second.
Thank you. I appreciate the honor and opportunity to recognize my generation, the Vietnam era. This Honor and Remember flag is requested with eternal, let's try this again. This Honor and Remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of CW2 Kenneth V. Welch. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember their selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say, thank you.
I just want to take a second and thank George for this great honor. He really does live to his word. 1984 was a long time ago, and thanks for remembering. I want to thank the Patriot Guard for escorting us here. It is a great honor to have you here, and I'd like to thank this great state of Oregon, the representatives, for being here.
I do want to add my thanks to the Patriot Guard. It has been my honor to be escorted by the PGR throughout my journey in different states. And I will tell you, so that you guys know, that when my son was brought home, it was the PGR's first mission in Virginia to escort my son. So I thank you for that. You guys hold a special place in my heart. I just want to conclude with one phrase, or quote, I should say, from John F. Kennedy. And then I'm going to turn it back over. But he said, "A nation reveals itself not only by the men that it produces, but by the men that it honors and the men it remembers." Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, George, for making the trip out here and for those presentations. Mrs. Lucas, Mrs. Welsh, your families, thank you for being here. Patriot Guard, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate that. Q for taking photographs. And I'd like to invite all of you to remain at the memorial for as long as you'd like. We have other memorials on the grounds that you're welcome to visit. You're welcome to come into your Veterans Building, into the lobby, to see the displays in there, to visit the facilities or whatever you might need. So thank you again for being here.
I just want to say real quickly, if there are any legislators here on the grounds, you may add your name to this pledge of support here that I have up here. Just come on up. And I'd be honored if Oregon would add their names to my trip. God bless you.
Patriot Guard, 10 Hut. Dismissed.